Gas prices in Jamaica hit an all-time high last week. I saw 90 going for as high as 185 a litre at some places. But world oil prices aren't at an all-time high, so what's up with that? I'm Kalila Reynolds, and it's time for another episode of Money Mondays JA. Money Mondays JA is brought to you by Proven Wealth. Visit provenwealth.com to speak to an investment advisor today, and follow We Are Proven on social media. And Bulwark Insurance Agency. Looking for affordable insurance? Visit bulwarkja.com. Follow them on social media at official bulwarkja. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share with a friend. Also, turn on those post notifications so you won't miss a beat as we post more informative videos. And of course, subscribe to my newsletter at kalilareynolds.com/newsletter. Then hop on over to the main site where you can read a full transcript of this episode. You can click the link up here or in the description box below. So we did a lot of research on this one. We combed through 11 years of data, and we can confirm that this is the highest gas prices have ever been in Jamaica. Gas prices are up a whopping 30% since the start of the year. The week of May 13, 2021, Petrojam was selling 90-octane gasoline to retailers for $151.24 a litre. Now, if you're wondering how come you're paying much more than that at the pumps, well, the retailers have to add their markups, of course, and that varies from location to location. So for ease of reference, we're using Petrojam prices for this video. The closest we found to the current prices was October 2018, when a litre from Petrojam cost $144.86. And actually, 2018 was a pretty bad year for local gas prices. As a matter of fact, I did an award-winning story looking at the causes back then too. So I think it's time we review and update some of that info to explain what's happening today. So, why are gas prices so high? Well, there are a few factors to consider. One of the first things that heavily affects local gas prices are world oil prices. Jamaica is not an oil-producing country, so Petrojam buys oil on the world market and refines it into several products, including gasoline. In our case, the world oil prices are determined by the United States WTI, that stands for West Texas Intermediate Benchmark. Now, as you can see from this chart taken from Bloomberg, world oil prices are up 33% since the start of the year. So that's about in line with the 30% increase in gas prices in Jamaica. Seems reasonable, right? I guess. Until you look at last year, 2020, which we all know was a crazy year in general, but also for oil prices. In April 2020, world oil prices actually went negative for the first time in history. Because of the pandemic and global lockdowns, nobody was traveling. So oil companies had all this oil on their hands that they couldn't get rid of. What they ended up doing was literally paying buyers to take the oil because they didn't have space to continue storing it. That's what was meant by negative oil prices. Anyway, so let's look at the charts for last year. Here are gas prices in Jamaica from January to December 2020. Overall, prices fell by 13%, but throughout the year, there wasn't any dramatic change. Contrast that with the chart for world oil prices for the same period. Notice anything different? There's that huge dip in April when oil prices crashed and went negative. World oil prices ended up falling by 20% overall last year, compared to a 13% drop in gas prices in Jamaica. So obviously, while these two things are related, there must be other things going on. Petrojam uses a pricing mechanism that includes several factors, one of which is price stability. I asked Minister Favour Williams about this on Taking Stock last April during that big crash. At the time, she was the Minister of Energy.
The pricing formula that Petrojam calculates, believe it or not, it's been in existence since about 1988. And as you rightly point out, it favors stability over volatility. And if you look back at the history of prices at Petrojam, when prices are rising, our prices nationally don't rise as fast. And similarly, when they're going down, our prices here don't go down as fast. And it's the smoothing that happens in the pricing formula that results in that.
But this pricing formula appears to be top secret. Journalists, including myself, have asked over the years for it to be explained, but never got a straight answer. Now, the new Energy Minister, Daryl Vaz, has called for greater transparency. This was him speaking during the sectoral debates in Parliament on May 18.
Petrojam is procuring the services of a communication specialist, but I have instructed that a critical function of that engagement must include addressing what the public views as a lack of transparency in the pricing mechanism used by Petrojam to determine fuel prices and provide ongoing explanation to the public on the process that is involved. Madam Speaker, Jamaica deserves to know and to understand the formula that is used in calculating fuel prices, which fluctuate based on world oil prices.
According to Minister Vaz, they're getting technical assistance from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, which, by the way, Minister Williams also told me more than a year ago. However, it seems there's finally been some progress on that. Vaz now says that support is expected within 4 to 6 weeks. So will we finally know how Petrojam really sets gas prices? Good question. Your guess is as good as mine, because where have we heard this before? Anywho, moving on. So far, we've covered world oil prices and Petrojam's secret pricing mechanism, which is said to favor price stability. Another factor is the foreign exchange rate, since we buy oil in US dollars. This is something I took a really close look at in 2018 when we were suffering those really high prices, and here's why. If you're old enough to remember 2008, the year of the Great Recession, you'll recall that world oil prices were at a historic high. It peaked at a whopping $147.30 US a barrel. In fact, if it wasn't for the Petro-Caribe arrangement with Venezuela, I don't know how we or several other Caribbean countries who were part of that agreement would have survived. But try to guess what Petrojam's price for a liter of 90 gasoline was in 2008. Keep in mind what it is now, right? World oil prices are now at 63 US dollars a barrel, less than half what it was in 2008, and Petrojam's gas prices are now at about $150 a liter for 90. So how much do you think 90 was selling for in 08 at nearly 150 US a barrel for oil? It was $79.87. So that might make you go, huh? But that doesn't make sense. Well, actually, it does, because we also have to account for devaluation. Back in 2008, the Jamaican dollar was $72.17 to 1 US. Well, today, it's about 150 to 1 US, more than twice what it was 13 years ago. And you see this correlation even stronger when you convert our local gas prices to US dollars. In 2008, a liter of 90 from Petrojam cost $1.10 US. In 2021, that same liter cost just about $1 US flat. So in US dollar terms, gas prices have actually fallen, but in JMD terms, because of devaluation, it's more expensive for us. So you see, there are so many factors to consider. And we haven't really even touched on supply and demand. Both gas and oil prices can change significantly when there are disruptions to crude oil supplies, refinery operations, or gasoline pipeline deliveries. You have price wars between OPEC members, which was also at play in last year's oil crash. Natural disasters like hurricanes, which affect supply. And now you also have to consider, of course, pandemics. I also haven't touched on taxes. Jamaican consumers pay over $51 a liter in special consumption tax, SCT, on gasoline. So if the government were to remove that, gas would be a whole lot cheaper. But It would also cost the government billions of dollars in lost revenue. So they do have to balance the need to help struggling consumers with their need for revenue to continue paying teachers, police, nurses, etc. Another thing to look at is seasonal demand and production specifications. It's approaching summer now, so it's getting hot. You'll find that the prices tend to rise in the spring periods and peak during the summer when people drive and travel more because there's more demand. Also, gasoline sold in the summer should be less prone to evaporation during warm weather. This means that gas refineries have to replace cheaper components with more expensive ones that slow down evaporation. Okay, so after all of that, how can you save money on gas? Here are a few tips. Keep your petrol or diesel above half tank. This may not be ideal as you go about your daily commute, but the idea behind it is that the less air there is in your tank, the slower your fuel burns out because there's less empty space. In essence, your gas should last longer. Here's another. Fuel your vehicle either at night or early morning. Experts say when the temperature is warmer during the day, the gas expands and you get less value for money. So it's better to fill up when it's cooler. You may want to think about doing this in the early mornings now because, well, you know, gas stations may actually be closed at night depending on how our curfew hours are scheduled. Listen out for price changes on the news. These are announced on Wednesdays ahead of the price change on Thursday morning. So if you hear the price is about to go up, you could fill up on Wednesday to take advantage of the lower price. Or if it's going down, you could wait until Thursday to go to the gas station. Staying up to date with the news on the oil market can also give you an idea of what's coming locally. And then my last tip requires a big investment up front, but it's still something to consider. Buying an electric or hybrid vehicle. JPS just opened the first public electric vehicle charging station in St. Anne. This is the wave of the future, guys. According to a press release from JPS, when they made the announcement, if you drive a compact car from Kingston to St. Anne, it may cost you $2,000 in gas compared to $450 in electricity charge with a comparable compact car like the Nissan Leaf. So yeah, something to consider. $2,000 versus $450. It's a deal. Well, that's it for this episode of Money Mondays JA. Now here's what's coming up on Taking Stock.
Guardian Holdings relisted on the Jamaica Stock Exchange 3 weeks ago, but Jamaican investors have been having a hard time getting their hands on the company's shares. Well, Guardian's parent company, NCD Global Holdings, is now freeing up 2 million shares in Guardian. They've issued a prospectus inviting investors to purchase at $795 Jamaican dollars each. We'll discuss with CEO of NCB Capital Markets, Stephen Gooden, and CEO of Guardian Holdings, Ravi Tawari.
Officially open on May 31, but so far the interest is going quite well, and we expect the issue to be oversubscribed.
And the analysts weighing on the latest market developments. What do they think about the Guardian offer?
Even at the 790, I mean, that is at a PE of around 8.59. And so that is still very, very attractive, you know, when you compare it to other financial companies.
Then, despite the global pandemic, 10 out of 12 manufacturing and distribution companies listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange are reporting growth in net income, ranging as high as 443%. But will they survive the rise in commodities prices?
If we're in the middle of a pandemic and we can see them be so profitable, just imagine what the boom might mean for them once everything has kind of opened up a bit more.
And over in the US, a cyber attack on the largest fuel pipeline, Colonial, caused a massive fuel shortage recently.
At the pump, prices were increasing. They were around $2.99 per gallon, which is the highest that it's been since 2014.
We'll discuss.
Just a reminder to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share with all your friends. Also subscribe to our newsletter at KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter for the latest business news, analysis, and the transcript of this episode. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Thanks for watching. Money Mondays JA was brought to you by Proven Wealth. Visit provenwealth.com to speak to an investment advisor today and follow We Are Proven on social media. And Bulwark Insurance Agency. Looking for affordable insurance? Visit bulwarkja.com. Follow them on social media at official bulwarkja.